Let me take you there. Imagine you wake up one morning and realize that everything you were taught about life is only half the truth. You did everything right. You worked hard, you played fair, you stayed loyal, and yet life still hit you in the gut. No warning, no apology, no safety net. You look around and see people who cut corners rising faster. You watch others get what you've been grinding for. You start to wonder, what am I missing? That's the moment the real education begins. Because the lessons that truly shape you, the ones that make you dangerous, unbreakable, unstoppable, aren't written in any textbook. Nobody teaches them. You learn them when life backs you into a corner and whispers, survive or don't. See, most people spend their lives chasing comfort. They want guarantees. They want praise. They want to be liked. But comfort kills growth. Praise is temporary. And the need to be liked, that's a cage built from your own fear. The truth is brutal, but it's also beautiful. Because once you face it, once you stop expecting life to be easy or fair, something changes inside you. You stop waiting for permission. You stop needing validation. You start building yourself. So tonight, we're not going to talk about success in the way you've been sold it. We're going to talk about the battlefield of real life, the parts nobody warns you about, the betrayals, the failures, the quiet nights when you question everything. This is where strength is born. This is where character is forged. This is where you learn the 12 brutal life lessons that nobody teaches you, but everyone needs to know. And by the time we're done, you won't see the world the same way again. You'll see it as it really is, and finally you'll understand how to rise above it. Here's how it really works. Most people spend their entire lives running from truth. They hide behind distractions, excuses, comfort, and denial. Because the truth, it's heavy. It shatters illusions. It strips away the lies we tell ourselves to sleep better at night. But the irony is this: the truth, no matter how brutal, is the only thing that will ever set you free. When you accept it, you stop living in the fantasy that life should be fair. You stop expecting people to act right just because you did. You stop waiting for justice or closure or that magical day when everything finally makes sense. The truth teaches you that life isn't personal. It's not plotting against you. It just is. It moves with or without you. And when you understand that, you stop fighting against reality and start moving with it. There's a moment that comes to everyone who's honest enough to look in the mirror and say, I'm the problem. It's not weakness, it's freedom. Because when you admit that you've been getting in your own way, you finally get the power to step aside. Most people never get there. They blame others, circumstances, bad luck. They rewrite the story so they don't have to face their own reflection. But if you want to rise, you have to face it head on. You have to be willing to destroy the version of yourself that isn't serving you anymore. The truth hurts because it demands change. It doesn't comfort you. It confronts you. It forces you to see how you've been settling, pretending, lying to yourself. It makes you realize that no one is coming to rescue you. That the people who said they'd always be there might not. And that sometimes even when you give everything, it won't be enough. That's not cynicism. That's reality. The sooner you accept it, the stronger you become. Here's something nobody teaches you growing up. Fairness is a human construct. The world doesn't operate on fairness. It operates on cause and effect. You put in effort, you increase your odds, but the world owes you nothing. Life doesn't hand out rewards based on your intentions. It responds to your actions. You could work hard for years and still lose. You could be kind and still be betrayed. That's not unfair. It's life. You either adapt or get left behind. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, because we were raised on the myth that if you're good, good things happen. But real strength is built in the gap between how things should be and how they are. You can complain or you can conquer. The choice is always yours. When you stop expecting life to be easy, you stop being disappointed. You start being prepared. You start playing offense instead of defense. The people who thrive in this world aren't the ones with the most talent, luck, or connections. They're the ones who stopped negotiating with reality. They looked around and said, okay, this is how it is. Now how do I win anyway? The truth also hurts because it strips away comfort. Once you know you're responsible for your own life, you can't hide behind excuses anymore. You can't blame your past, your boss, your parents, your trauma, your environment. You can acknowledge those things. They matter, but they don't define your final outcome. The moment you understand that your response is what shapes your life, you reclaim your power. Some people fear the truth because it exposes how small they've been playing. It shows them the gap between who they are and who they could be. And that's a painful sight. It's easier to stay in the fog, to scroll, to numb out, to pretend. But deep down, you know that avoidance is a form of slow death. The longer you avoid truth, the more you disconnect from your own potential. When you finally face it, something shifts. You start speaking differently. You stop making promises you don't intend to keep. You stop tolerating people and situations that drain you. You start saying no more often. You start cutting the noise and focusing on what actually matters. And the people who used to manipulate or control you, they lose their power because truth makes you unshakable. There's freedom in saying this is what it is. There's freedom in letting go of control and not needing to understand every why. There's freedom in realizing that you can survive without approval, without validation, without guarantees. Because once you face truth, you stop fearing it, and that's when you become unstoppable. Think about every breakthrough moment you've ever had. It started with a truth that stung. The breakup that forced you to see your worth. The failure that humbled you into growth. The betrayal that revealed who was really in your corner. The rejection that redirected you to something better. None of those moments felt good, but they were necessary. Truth is rarely wrapped in comfort, but it's always wrapped in clarity. When you live by truth, your confidence no longer depends on outcomes. It comes from integrity. You don't need to pretend, chase approval, or wear masks. You become congruent. Who you are, what you believe, and how you act are the same. That's what real strength looks like. Not perfection, not control. Alignment. People will sometimes mistake your clarity for coldness. They'll say you've changed. They're right. You did. Because truth changes you. It hardens your spine, but softens your heart. You stop reacting emotionally to every little thing. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't get it. You start living life on your terms. And when you do that, you threaten those who are still hiding from their own truth. Don't shrink for them. Stand tall. You earned that clarity. The truth hurts because it exposes illusion. But once you see clearly, you can't unsee it. And that's the beauty of it. You start moving differently. You protect your energy. You stop wasting time on people and things that no longer align. You stop waiting for someone to fix you and start building yourself from the ground up. You realize that power doesn't come from pretending everything's fine. It comes from owning what's real. So if the truth is hurting you right now, good. That means you're waking up. That means the version of you that settled, that played small, that stayed quiet, is dying. Let it, because what's coming next is someone stronger, sharper, and more honest than ever before. You don't have to like the truth to learn from it. You just have to face it. And once you do, it will stop being your enemy. It will become your weapon. Because the truth, as brutal as it is, will always do one thing: set you free. Let's be honest, motivation is a beautiful feeling, but it's also unreliable. It comes and goes like weather. One day you wake up inspired, ready to take on the world. And the next you can barely drag yourself out of bed. People chase motivation like it's fuel, but the truth is, if you depend on motivation to move, you'll never build momentum. Because life isn't powered by how you feel. It's powered by what you do, especially when you don't feel like it. That's where emotional discipline comes in. Emotional discipline is the ability to control your internal state no matter what's happening outside you. It's about staying calm when you're angry, focused when you're overwhelmed, grounded when you're scared. It's mastering yourself before you try to master anything else. And the hard truth is, most people never learn it. They let their emotions run the show. They quit when it hurts. They speak when they should listen. They react when they should think. And they wonder why their lives keep spiraling in circles. We live in a world obsessed with feeling good. Everything is about instant gratification, comfort, convenience, validation. But the problem is, those quick hits of feel good weaken your ability to stay consistent when things get hard. Discipline doesn't care about how you feel. Discipline doesn't ask for permission. Discipline is the quiet decision to do what needs to be done, no matter what's going on inside your head. You can't build anything great without it. Not a career, not a relationship, not a strong body or a sharp mind. Motivation might get you started, but it's discipline that gets you across the finish line. The people you admire aren't superhuman. They've just learned how to manage their emotions better than most. When fear comes, they move anyway. When doubt whispers, they don't listen. When exhaustion hits, they keep showing up. They've trained themselves to act beyond their feelings. Emotional discipline isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about mastering them. It means you acknowledge your anger, but don't let it control your actions. You feel fear, but don't let it dictate your choices. You experience disappointment, but don't let it destroy your confidence. You learn to sit with uncomfortable feelings without trying to escape them. Because the moment you stop running from emotion, it loses its power over you. Think about how many opportunities are lost because people couldn't manage how they felt in a moment. How many relationships ended because someone couldn't control their temper? How many dreams died because someone got discouraged too soon? One impulsive reaction, one emotional decision can undo years of work. That's why emotional discipline isn't optional. It's essential. When you start practicing it, you become dangerous in the best way. You become unpredictable to chaos. You stop being easily provoked or manipulated. You stop allowing emotions to make permanent decisions in temporary moments. You start responding with intention instead of reacting from impulse. That's power. Real, quiet, steady power. Most people think they need motivation to take action, but it's the other way around. Action creates motivation. When you show up consistently, even when it's hard, your mind learns to trust you. That trust turns into confidence, and that confidence fuels motivation. But it starts with discipline. It starts with doing the uncomfortable thing repeatedly until it becomes who you are. Let me be real. Emotional discipline doesn't come from books or podcasts. It's forged in uncomfortable experiences. It's built in the moments when you want to scream but stay silent, when you want to quit but keep going, when you want to seek revenge but choose peace. Every time you choose control over chaos, you strengthen your core, and over time, that strength becomes your identity. There will be days when you feel empty, when you've given everything and nothing seems to be working. That's when emotional discipline becomes your anchor. It tells you, keep moving. Don't let this moment define you. Discipline doesn't ask if you're tired. It doesn't ask if you're scared. It reminds you that consistency always wins. Emotional discipline also protects your energy. When you control your emotions, you stop wasting energy on things you can't change. You stop overreacting to other people's behavior. You stop letting criticism, rejection, or negativity ruin your focus. You realize that how someone treats you says more about them than it does about you. And that clarity keeps you grounded. In a world full of noise, emotional discipline is your silence. When others are panicking, you think clearly. When others get offended, you stay composed. When others complain, you act. It's the edge that separates leaders from followers. Because leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about being the calmest. Here's the truth. Emotions are temporary, but the consequences of emotional decisions are not. You can't let anger write your story. You can't let fear set your boundaries. You can't let doubt dictate your destiny. Emotional discipline means you recognize those feelings, but you move based on your values, not your mood. That's how you build a life that, there's a saying, discipline equals freedom. It sounds contradictory, but it's true. When you control your emotions, you control your actions. When you control your actions, you control your results. And when you control your results, you control your future. That's freedom. Most people think freedom means doing whatever they want. It's not. Freedom means mastering yourself so that nothing external can control you. You'll notice something interesting when you start living this way. Your circle will change. People who thrive on drama will drift away because you no longer feed it. People who manipulate emotions will lose their grip on you because you no longer react. You'll become calm in situations that once made you anxious. That peace is earned through emotional discipline. It's the mark of someone who has done the inner work. If motivation is fire, discipline is the oxygen that keeps it alive. Motivation burns bright, but fades fast. Discipline is steady. It's not flashy, but it's reliable. It doesn't depend on external validation or inspiration. It's a promise you make to yourself and keep over and over again. And that promise builds character. You don't need to feel inspired to be unstoppable. You just need to be committed. You need to be able to say, I don't feel like it, but I'm doing it anyway. That simple sentence is the foundation of greatness, because the world doesn't reward the most emotional. It rewards the most consistent. So stop chasing the high of motivation. Build the muscle of emotional discipline. Learn to show up without applause, to stay focused without validation, to move forward without feeling ready. Control your emotions, or your emotions will control you. And once you learn that, you'll no longer be at the mercy of your moods, your fears, or anyone else's opinions. You'll have something far more powerful than motivation. You'll have mastery over yourself, and that is what separates those who dream from those who do. Pain. It's the one thing we all try to avoid, but it's also the only thing that ever truly transforms us. Everyone wants power, strength, confidence, but nobody wants the process that creates them. Because the truth is, every ounce of strength you'll ever have will be carved out of discomfort. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is the tuition you pay for power. Think about it. Everything that has ever made you stronger came from a moment that hurt. The heartbreak that forced you to rediscover your worth. The failure that crushed your ego but built your resilience. The betrayal that taught you who was real. Every scar carries a story, and those stories are where your real strength lives. But we've been taught to treat pain like something to escape. Society tells you to stay positive, look on the bright side, don't think about it. But that mindset keeps people weak. Because when you run from pain, you also run from growth. Pain is the body's way of saying, pay attention. It's life's way of saying, wake up. It doesn't come to destroy you, it comes to refine you. When life hurts, it's because something inside you needs to break, so something stronger can take its place. We resist it because it feels cruel. But the truth is, pain is the most honest teacher you'll ever have. It doesn't lie, it doesn't flatter, it doesn't sugarcoat. It reveals you to you. You learn more from pain than from comfort. Comfort teaches you nothing. It lulls you into complacency. Pain strips away illusions. It shows you who you are when the mask comes off, when the excuses don't work, when there's nowhere left to hide. And that's where the real version of you is born. The one that doesn't depend on motivation or validation. The one that moves forward even when it hurts. The problem is, most people interpret pain as a sign to stop. They hit discomfort and think something's wrong. But pain is not always a signal to quit. It's often a signal to keep going. Growth always demands some level of suffering. You can't build strength without resistance. You can't learn patience without frustration. You can't find resilience without failure. Every great transformation starts with a struggle. We admire people who are strong, confident, unbreakable, but we often forget is what built them. The nights they cried alone, the times they doubted everything, the failures that humiliated them, the disappointments that forced them to start over. Those experiences weren't curses, they were the forge. Pain was the fire that molded their character, and every time they walked through it instead of around it, they became sharper, tougher, wiser. Pain teaches you the difference between what you want and what you need. It burns away distractions and ego until all that's left is truth. You start to see what really matters. You stop chasing approval and start chasing purpose. You stop trying to please everyone and start living in alignment with who you are. Pain humbles you. It forces you to slow down, to listen, to reevaluate. It breaks your pride so you can rebuild with clarity. The people who try to live painless lives often end up empty, because without struggle, there's no story. Without challenge, there's no strength. Pain gives meaning to your victories. It makes the climb worth it. When you've suffered for something, you value it differently. You protect it. You appreciate it. You respect it. Comfort makes you soft. Pain makes you grateful. There's a kind of peace that comes only after you've been through enough pain to realize you can survive it. You stop fearing the next blow. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? That shift changes everything. Pain stops being punishment and becomes preparation. Every hit you take builds your tolerance. Every heartbreak stretches your capacity to love deeper next time. Every loss expands your perspective. You stop breaking. You start bending. People often confuse pain with weakness. But pain doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're being stretched to grow. Weakness is running from pain. Strength is walking through it with your eyes open. Anyone can act strong when life is easy. Real strength is staying grounded when everything is falling apart. When you face pain instead of avoiding it, you start to own it. You stop letting it define you. You start using it. You turn your wounds into wisdom, your scars into strategy. You begin to understand that pain doesn't shrink you. It refines you. It removes everything that's fake and leaves only what's real. That's why pain is the price of power. Pain also builds empathy. You start to see people differently once you've suffered yourself. You stop judging so quickly. You understand that everyone is fighting something unseen. That awareness gives you depth. Pain connects you to humanity. It softens your edges even as it hardens your resolve. It teaches you compassion, not just for others but for yourself. At some point, you'll face a kind of pain that feels unbearable, the kind that brings you to your knees. You'll wonder if you'll ever recover, if you'll ever be the same. You won't be. You'll be better, because pain leaves marks. Yes, but those marks are proof that you survived, that you rebuilt, that you refused to quit. And that's what power looks like. Every challenge life gives you is a test. Will you let it break you, or will you let it build you? The difference lies in your mindset. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. You can either dwell in it, replay it, drown in self-pity, or you can learn from it, adapt, and grow stronger. Every time you choose the latter, you elevate. There's no way around pain. There's only through it. And the more you try to avoid it, the more it controls you. The moment you face it head on, it loses its grip. You begin to realize that you can endure more than you thought possible. And that realization, that's power. Because once you've faced real pain and survived, nothing else intimidates you the same way again. So the next time life hits you hard, don't ask why me. Ask what is this molding me into? Every setback, every failure, every heartbreak is shaping you into someone more capable of carrying the weight of your purpose. Don't resist it. Embrace it. Let it do its work, because the deeper the pain, the stronger the foundation it builds within you. Power is not given. It's earned through pain. It's the reward for enduring what others avoid. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've been through fire and came out forged, not burnt. You don't have to fear pain anymore. Respect it. Learn from it. Use it, because the day you stop running from pain is the day you start stepping into your real power. Here's one of the hardest truths to accept. Most people don't care. They don't care about your excuses, your struggles, or even your success as much as you think they do. This sounds harsh, maybe even a little cold, but it's actually one of the most freeing realizations you'll ever have. Because once you stop expecting people to care, you stop performing for them. You stop living your life on someone else's terms. You start doing things because you want to, not because you're chasing approval. We spend so much of our lives trying to be liked, trying to be seen, trying to be understood. We dress a certain way, talk a certain way, post certain things online, all to manage how others perceive us. We exhaust ourselves trying to earn acceptance from people who aren't even paying attention. But the truth is, everyone is too busy fighting their own battles to think about yours for long. You might be the main character in your story, but in everyone else's story, you're just a passing extra. That realization can sting at first. It feels lonely, almost disappointing. You want to believe that people care deeply about your happiness, your success, your pain. And some do, but not as many as you hope, and not as often as you need. But here's where the liberation comes in. When you finally accept that you're free, you're no longer chained to expectations, opinions, or validation. You get to live for yourself, not for applause. Most people aren't judging you. They're distracted by their own insecurities. They're too busy worrying about how they look, what others think of them, whether they're doing enough, succeeding enough, being enough. Everyone's wearing a mask, pretending to have it together, while quietly wondering if they're failing. So why keep living as if the world's spotlight is constantly on you? It's not. Nobody's watching that closely. That's your permission slip to be real. When you stop caring so much about what others think, you start living authentically. You stop saying yes when you mean no. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into rooms that don't respect your presence. You stop apologizing for who you are. You realize that being misunderstood is not a tragedy. It's a filter. The people meant for you will get you without explanation. The ones who don't, they were never your audience. It's liberating to know that you don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices, your boundaries, or your dreams. You don't have to justify your journey. The only person who has to live with your decisions is you. Yet, we let fear of judgment keep us small. We stay in jobs we hate, relationships that drain us, and routines that numb us, all because we're afraid of what people will say if we change. But guess what? They'll talk no matter what you do. You might as well give them something worth talking about. The moment you stop seeking approval, you gain power, because people can no longer control you with their opinions. You become immune to gossip, immune to criticism, immune to rejection. You start making choices from conviction, not fear. That's when you step into real confidence. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself. It just exists quietly, firmly, unbothered. When you realize most people don't care, you also stop over-explaining your pain. Not everyone deserves access to your vulnerability. Some people only want your story for entertainment, not empathy. You learn to protect your energy, to share only with those who've earned your trust. Silence becomes your strength. You stop broadcasting every struggle because you understand that your healing is sacred, not public. It's funny, people will forget your failures faster than you think. You'll replay an embarrassing moment in your head for weeks, while everyone else moved on 5 minutes later. That's how self-absorbed the world is. Everyone's too busy thinking about themselves. So why let their imagined judgment stop you from taking chances? Why keep holding yourself back for an audience that's not even watching? When you accept that most people don't care, you also stop expecting them to save you. You stop waiting for support, permission, or validation. You learn to rely on yourself. You become your own source of encouragement, your own accountability partner, your own biggest believer. And that self-reliance builds an unshakable foundation, because the person who doesn't need constant approval becomes unstoppable. This truth also teaches you empathy. When you realize everyone's caught up in their own struggles, you stop taking things personally. Someone's cold attitude, short response, or lack of interest, it's rarely about you. People project their pain, their fear, their insecurities. When you understand that, you stop reacting with offense and start responding with understanding. That's emotional maturity. That's peace. Liberation comes when you stop trying to prove your worth. You already are enough. You don't need to chase validation to confirm it. The people meant to walk with you will find you along the way, not because you begged for attention, but because authenticity always attracts authenticity. You don't have to shout to be seen. You just have to be real enough to be felt. And here's another truth. Some people will never care about you until they need something from you. Don't take it personally. Don't waste energy trying to change it. That's just human nature. Let people reveal who they are and believe them the first time. Protect your peace by setting boundaries that guard your emotional space. Caring less about others' approval doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming selective. You decide who gets your time, your energy, your kindness. Not everyone deserves front row access to your life. Most people are too busy chasing their own validation to give you the one you're craving. Once you stop needing theirs, your world expands. You start taking risks, speaking truthfully, living boldly. You no longer fear failure because you realize nobody's keeping score. Everyone's too focused on their own scoreboard. That realization frees you to try, to fall, to learn, to rise again. You'll notice that when you stop performing for others, your confidence changes. It's quieter. It's rooted. You no longer need to prove your value. You embody it. You no longer chase attention. You attract respect. And when people sense that kind of energy, they respond differently. Because authenticity commands a room without saying a word. The day you understand that most people don't care is the day you take your power back. You stop waiting for the world to validate your path. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop living half-truths just to keep others comfortable. You realize that your job is not to be liked, it's to live in truth. That's freedom. Not the kind that comes from having everything figured out, but the kind that comes from not needing everyone's approval to move forward. It's the peace of knowing that you owe nothing to anyone except yourself to become the fullest version of who you're meant to be. So yes, most people don't care. And that's not a tragedy, it's a gift. It's permission to drop the mask, to stop performing, to start living. Because the moment you stop chasing validation, you become untouchable. You move differently. You speak differently. You choose differently. You stop living for the crowd and start living for your calling. You are the weapon. You always have been. The body, the mind, the spirit, they're not separate pieces of you, they are your arsenal. But most people walk through life dull and distracted, unaware of the power sitting dormant inside them. They wait for something external to give them strength, a mentor, a motivation, a miracle, when in reality the weapon is already in their hands. It's them. It's you. The problem is, you stopped sharpening. You stopped training. You let comfort dull your edge. The world you live in doesn't reward softness. It rewards preparation. It rewards the person who's ready when everyone else is panicking. It rewards the one who shows up disciplined, focused, calm, and aware while others are drowning in chaos. And that level of control doesn't come from luck. It comes from daily sharpening. Every single day, you either sharpen your edge or let it rust. You sharpen yourself through discipline, through discomfort, through consistency. You sharpen your mind when you choose focus over distraction. You sharpen your emotions when you practice control instead of reaction. You sharpen your body when you push it beyond its comfort zone. Every small decision adds a layer to your strength. Every time you choose growth over ease, you're sharpening the weapon. But most people don't see themselves this way. They move through life like victims of circumstance. They say things like, I'll try or I'll see how it goes. They wait for perfect conditions that never come. They think they need motivation or luck to change their lives. No, what they need is a mirror to look at themselves and say, this is it. I am my own advantage. Because when you realize that you are the weapon, you stop waiting to be rescued. You start building yourself instead. Sharpening yourself is not glamorous. It's repetitive. It's lonely. It's waking up early when no one's watching. It's saying no to distractions that everyone else indulges in. It's having difficult conversations, facing uncomfortable truths, and refusing to settle for mediocrity. Every repetition, every sacrifice, every moment of restraint, it's another strike against the grindstone. You might not see the progress immediately, but one day when life tests you, you'll be glad you did the work. Because make no mistake, life will test you. It will throw chaos at you when you least expect it. It will hit you where it hurts. And in those moments, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. That's why sharpening yourself daily is not optional. It's survival. You can't control the world, but you can control the strength of the weapon you bring to it. Sharpening means staying alert. It means staying aware of your weaknesses, not to shame yourself, but to fortify them. It means knowing where you're soft and choosing to get harder, smarter, faster. A dull weapon blames the battlefield. A sharp one adapts to it. So stop complaining about how hard things are and start upgrading yourself. The conditions won't change, but you can. Every day you're faced with a choice, comfort or growth. Every time you choose comfort, you dull your edge a little more. Every time you choose growth, you sharpen it. The small decisions, what you eat, how you spend your time, what you read, how you react, they determine your sharpness. You can't sharpen a weapon by wishing it. You have to grind it against resistance. You have to lean into the friction. That's what gives you the edge. When you see yourself as a weapon, you stop wasting energy on things that weaken you. You stop arguing with people who drain you. You stop chasing validation. You start protecting your peace, because peace is your clarity. And clarity is precision. You stop scrolling aimlessly. You start reading, training, learning, thinking. You feed your mind the same way a warrior hones his blade, with care and intention. And sharpening isn't just about toughness. It's also about awareness. A weapon that cuts everything uncontrollably is dangerous. Precision is power. It's knowing when to act and when to hold still. It's understanding that real strength isn't in constant aggression, it's in controlled restraint. You don't have to prove your sharpness, you have to know when to use it. That's mastery. Some people think sharpening yourself means living a hard, joyless life. It's not. It's about living an intentional one. It's about knowing that discipline brings more freedom than impulse ever will. It's about setting a standard for yourself that's higher than what the world expects. Because when you demand excellence from yourself, you stop being easily shaken by mediocrity. You move differently. You think differently. You carry yourself like someone who knows exactly who they are. Sharpening also means healing. A broken weapon can't perform at its best. You can't fight the battles ahead if you haven't faced the wounds behind you. Strength isn't about pretending you're unbreakable. It's about rebuilding yourself after every hit. It's cleaning off the rust of resentment, the grime of guilt, the stains of self-doubt. Because no matter how powerful the weapon, if it's not cared for, it corrodes. You have to maintain yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, every day. You don't sharpen yourself once and stay sharp forever. Life dulls you. Stress, disappointment, failure. They wear you down. That's why the work never stops. You don't take days off from becoming better. Every day is training. Every day is an opportunity to refine your craft, your thoughts, your reactions, your habits. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You need to maintain yourself. And let's be honest. Some days you'll want to quit. You'll feel tired, unmotivated, unseen. But remember, sharpening is friction. It's supposed to hurt. Growth is supposed to be uncomfortable. You're literally grinding away the weaker parts of yourself to reveal the steel underneath. That process is not meant to feel easy. It's meant to make you strong enough to handle what others can't. Eventually you'll start to notice that you don't react to life the same way anymore. The noise that once distracted you won't even touch you. The problems that used to break you will barely shake you. You'll move with quiet confidence, not because life got easier, but because you got sharper. That's the result of daily work. That's the power of self-mastery. At the end of the day, no one can sharpen you but you. You can have mentors, coaches, friends, but they can't do the grind for you. They can guide you to the stone, but only you can strike yourself against it. Only you can choose to evolve. Only you can decide that being average is no longer acceptable. You are the weapon. The question is, will you be sharp enough when life calls you to fight? Will you be ready when opportunity shows up, disguised as adversity? Because it's coming, whether you're prepared or not. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. The sharpening happens in the present, in the ordinary, in the daily. Every book you read, every habit you build, every challenge you embrace, it's all part of your training. Every time you face your fear, push through resistance, or choose integrity over convenience, you're forging your edge. And when the day comes that life tests you, you won't need to find your strength. You'll already have it. So don't let the world dull you. Don't let comfort blunt your edge. Get up, train your mind, strengthen your body, discipline your emotions, guard your focus, because you are the weapon and your future depends on how sharp you decide to be. Life will not hand you ease, fairness, or constant applause. It will hand you tests. It will hand you moments that break you open, strip you down, and demand that you rebuild yourself piece by piece. That's the deal. Every lesson you've heard tonight, truth, discipline, pain, liberation, sharpening, it all leads here. No one is coming to save you. But the beauty in that truth is this: you don't need saving. You are capable of building yourself from nothing. You are capable of facing pain without running, of showing up without motivation, of walking alone without fear. The world might try to harden you, but it cannot break a person who knows their own power. You can lose everything: money, status, people, but if you keep your integrity, your focus, and your will, you can rebuild it all. Stop waiting for life to get easier. It won't. You get stronger. Stop hoping people will finally understand you. They won't. You learn to understand yourself. Stop chasing the illusion of comfort. It will numb you. Chase growth instead. It will free you. Every scar you carry, every failure you survived, every sleepless night, they've all been preparing you for this moment. You've been trained by struggle, forged by discipline, and shaped by pain. You've learned that truth is not your enemy, it's your compass. You've learned that emotional control is not cold, it's clarity. You've learned that people's opinions don't define you, and that freedom is found in self-respect, not approval. And you've learned that your power was never something to find out there, it's been inside you all along. So the next time life tests you, don't flinch. Don't complain. Don't ask for an easier path. Ask for a sharper mind, a steadier heart, a stronger will, because that's how warriors are made, not in comfort, but in chaos. You are the weapon. You are the storm. You are the answer to your own struggle. Sharpen yourself daily. Protect your peace. Move with purpose. Speak with honesty. Walk with courage, because when life comes for you, and it will, you'll meet it with steel in your spine and fire in your soul. And in that moment, you won't just survive, you'll rise.